The Real Build is about building better culture, leaders, visionaries, community to better serve the client. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and I'm here to showcase real business owners building companies with integrity, trust, and a commitment to making a positive impact. Join us as we explore their stories, insights, and strategies for success. With that being said, welcome to The Real Build.
You leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember.
Welcome to The Real Build. I'm your host, Bill Reiman, your broker builder, and today I got a very special guest, a friend of mine. He has been on this show, actually last appeared on this show in December 15th, 2021. So it's one of the most popular episodes that I had done back then. Probably one of the most listened to episodes I've had too. Just because he was new to the construction world. He was just getting started in it, kind of was talking about how he was getting started and highlighting that. But today we're going to highlight, because I've seen him over the last 3-4 years, just how much progress he's made, how much great things that he's done in the construction industry. He's an award winner now. He's doing residential and commercial developments. He's doing a condo or a multifamily building. He's doing duplexes. This man is doing so much. He walks the walk, guys. That's why I wanted to have him back on here, because he didn't just talk the talk back when he was first starting. He has done it. He's building some beautiful homes too with Opus Homes, and I'm looking forward to having you, Justice Opus. Welcome to The Real Build, man.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. It's good to reconnect with you. You and I follow each other. We've been following each other's journeys. And like we were talking about before we got started, man, over the past 3-4 years, I've seen how much progress you've made since. And that's why I love bringing, the relaunch of this show, bringing people on from the past. And, the progress that has been made is just unbelievable too. And the things that you're doing, the homes you've built too. The passion you have in the construction industry as well. So we'll get talking about that, and how you've done what you've done in a short period of time is what I wanted to highlight, because a lot of new people in construction, they want to hear these things. They want to hear the magic potion, but there's really no magic potion. It's just hard work and just doing things the right way. So we'll get into that. But before we get started, obviously, for those people that didn't listen to the episode 3 years ago now, who is Justice Opus?
Time flies, really.
Yeah. So just talk about yourself. Who is Justice Opus?
Well, my name is Justice, and I'm a residential and commercial builder. And I actually didn't start in the construction world. I learned, like my friends would say, learned construction from the School of Hard Knocks, right? So I actually went to school for computer engineering. I got my master's I got my bachelor's in computer engineering. I got my master's in computer science. And I worked in the defense world for a long time. So Boeing, Lockheed, Northrop Grumman. And so I decided to build my own house one day, not because of anything, but just because of the time it takes for other builders to build a home. And I stumbled across Owner Builder, and I decided to take that leap of faith and build my own house. And it was very, very fulfilling. I had control, and it was one of those things that I built from ground up. As a software developer or as an engineer working for DoD, you're always part of a project. You're always maybe 5% of the project. You don't see it from ground up. So the house that I built was one of my very first conception to progress to finishing, and it was very fulfilling, and I wanted that feeling again. So I built another house. I partnered with a local GC, and we built another house, and decided to go get my construction license, and the rest is history. So I'm here, maybe 35 houses in now. So
that's awesome, man. That's awesome. 35 houses in. And it's like one thing you said there that I just wrote down. You said you were after you built that first house, the fulfillment you had too. I mean, that
Yeah.
just shows you the passion that you have for the industry as well. Like I talk about that is, we're building people's visions, we're bringing them to life, not to sound corny or anything, but we truly are. I mean,
Yes.
when you're building somebody a house, that's a vision that they had that they want to bring to life, lifelong vision sometimes too. And, we get to do it, and then we also get to take our imagination and create
Right.
things ourselves too, like spec homes and stuff like that, like you've been doing too. So very impressive, man. One stat I wanted to read you too is it's just crazy, and having that fulfillment and having that drive is what's kept you in business because there's a lot of failure in construction. This stat right here, the failure rate of construction companies obviously influenced by the economy and so on, but the first year is 20% failure, the first 2 years 30% failure, and then the first five 50%.
Wow.
So it's really, really high, but there's ways that you don't fail, and that's what we're going to kind of get into today with you is having success in such a short period of time, the drive, the momentum that you've had, just wanting the passion, I should say, like we talked about too. So talk about having success in such a short period of time in construction. Uh, how have you done it, just for the listeners, because obviously everybody wants that magic potion, but there's things and steps and all this time. And yeah, I mean, I say a short period of time because since 3 years ago that we talked, that 3 years is pretty short period of time, and you've done
Right.
a tremendous amount of houses, but you kept going too. And that's not easy to do. So you took a lot of risk too on your part as well. So talk about that a little bit.
So I think one of the things that really paid off for me is, there's that drive. There's, building houses. It's really, I don't think it's difficult, but I was in the right place at the right time, and that's one of the uh, things that I did that kept me afloat. And also another thing that I could point out that the houses that I was building on just entry level homes, right? I was building houses as mid level slash luxury at a standard price. So one of the things that I feel made a very strong impact in the business is the fact that people come in and see, and there's a wow factor into when they see the homes. And my houses don't stay in the market before it sells. A lot of them sell, you know, before the drywall is put up. So there's certain things that I've understood about the market is don't give people just bare bones, and
Hmm.
that has really helped me in getting the amount of success that I have. And also, I was in the right time. I say 2021, 2022, the market was hot, right?
Hmm.
So it was a time where houses weren't sitting, and I did a lot of spec homes at that time. I think at some point I was doing 9 spec homes, which was crazy. And even a lot of the seasoned builders I was talking to, and I tell them I have 9 specs. It's like, are you nuts? What are you doing? Because the market can instantly change. And but that was I think that was a that the timing was right. And I understood the market as well. I knew how much demand there is. I weighed the risk, and I was able to pull through with that. And that just propelled me to the next level. Doing 9 houses and doing 9 spec houses, being able to sell all of them. I kept one as a model home, which is also another tremendous strategy that helped me elevate to the next level. But the houses being selling and not sitting in the market, because there are some houses that are still in the market for 6, 7 months
Hmm.
after mine already sold. And I think
Wow.
that's those were some of the strategies that helped me to the level that I'm at now.
I think one key I took from that, or key takeaway I got from that was that you did kind of the mid-level luxury style home
Correct.
too, because when you think about spec homes in general, and especially investors getting involved and so on, I don't work with a lot of investors for, obviously price. They want the cheapest price. They want the cheapest quality. They want to just put the house up quick so they can sell it for a profit. I get it, what they're doing. But what you did, and I've looked at your Instagram and your homes, you're doing the tongue and groove outside. You're doing nicer quartz countertops. You're doing nicer tile and you're doing some nicer upgraded finishes compared to what a spec builder would typically do because they want to get it cheap as possible but maximize as much profit as possible. Where you're giving a higher end look, which sticks to your brand too, because
Right,
people see the quality. They're like, wow, this is a quality home that I can get. Mine's going to stand out more than anybody. It's not like no offense to them, a Lennar
right,
track home or a Pulte or some of these big guys that are putting in these small developments and so on. You up the level, you up the game. You maybe didn't make as much profit. You made
right,
profit, but it's a standard that you set, and then you had the model home to create some custom homes too. It was a very smart approach. So for those of you listening out there too, it's not about going the cheapest to make a profit because I think that's where a lot of people struggle. And then
mm,
also you would not list the homes until they were finished. That's huge right there too.
yeah,
What
yeah,
you said because there's a lot of that in my neck of the woods. It's been going on for 4 years now where these people are listing them at bare bones where they're just putting pictures of block up and stuff like that. It's like, come on,
right.
man. People and then people buy them with an expectation, but is that expectation going to be met? You get the feature sheets and stuff like that, but
That's where the motorhome comes in, just on a side strategy. That's if you have a motorhome to show, then it gives them a visual of what the house is going to look like, and that's where the motorhome did help me a lot.
hmm hmm yeah, and just like I mean, the clients to the client side of things too, man. Like them walking into one of your houses versus one of the other spec builders out there,
Yeah,
you have a wow factor where those guys don't. You have just the little details, like I said, tongue and groove on the outside of the house, like on the outside lanais, stuff like that goes a long way, and it's not that expensive to do. But it's like all these builders nitpick and cheapen up everything, even behind the walls and in the ceilings, as cheap, cheap, cheap as possible, appliances, everything, just to make a higher dollar too.
right, right. Yeah, one interesting thing, I had an inspector come to my house and I used 16 on center on all my interior walls. And he came in and said, wow, you're doing 16 on center. Why don't you go 24? I'm like, what, how much would that save me? Seven, $800? Why not go 16 on center? So they have, and he was like, oh, that's interesting, but that's kind of one of those things where some other builders, it's, $600, $700. I mean, I get it. If you're doing 40 houses times 600, it's pretty petty, but I think some of those small details count, in terms of the quality of the build. Because, when they see it, homeowners usually don't see that part. But for me, I just want my things to, stand out, even if it's behind the wall. They're getting what they paid for.
And that's the difference maker, man, because you're playing the long game. That's what's important in construction. I've talked about this before. Play the long game because a lot of the builders that are in your area are going to play the short game, the quick money game. You're playing the long game where people are going to notice your quality. They're going to write the reviews about your quality, and then they're going to refer your quality too. So it's just over 10 years, your house, you're going to expand more houses, more clients, more people hearing about Opus Homes too. That's what I love about what you're doing, and I see that you're doing it too. So,
Yeah, thank you.
awesome job with that, man.
Yes, sir. Thank
Yeah.
you.
So I want to get into too, like obviously you being a new builder too. What were some takeaways within these last few years? Some key lessons that you learned over the last few years that uh, maybe some new people out there that are getting into the building world or clients can take away from things too. What are some key lessons you've learned?
Well, from a builder standpoint, if you're coming in, most clients won't trust a new builder.
Mm.
And I understand that because there's a lot of capital involved. They're bringing in $300,000, $400,000 involved in a project. So they want someone who's seasoned, someone who's done the job, who they've seen and qualify that.
Mhm.
So if you're a new builder coming in and you want to go the spec route, I would say don't chip it out. Don't be cheap on that. It's just do good work on that aspect. And one of the key thing that I think is very important is don't over leverage yourself
Mm.
when you're doing spec homes, because when you're doing spec, there's the carrying cost with specs, and there's also that speculation of what if the house don't sell, or what if the house sit on the market longer than expected. So I think that financial aspect of it is key for new builders going through the spec route. Don't over leverage yourself. Slow in the race, take your time, one at a time, two at a time. Although I did nine at some point at a time and worked, but I had some sleepless nights, you know, like $300,000 invoice due, and I'm waiting for the bank to draw a release. And it's just so many things as a new builder coming in without a lot of money in the bank. So I'll say, take your time, do quality work, and don't over leverage yourself. That's key for new builders coming in.
Yeah, that's huge, man. Because I think a lot of people, like we just talked about too, they want to get things done fast. They want to get it as cheap as possible, and then they want to make the profit as fast as possible too. But construction's like a light switch, man. It could turn off at any moment. It's
Yeah,
always been that way too. And it's like you can go from a crazy boom like to now where things are kind of normalized too. It's not as easy getting new jobs coming in and stuff.
right,
And things have kind of slowed compared to what they are. It's an election year, people kind of wait and see that type of thing. But then it can just turn off if the economy crashes tomorrow. So it's just,
right,
and you have to find new ways to kind of, whether it's like us going from larger scale homes to small homes, more affordability, just to try and keep your employees and everybody active too. But the luxury market's still good for us right now, but it's just you're always on a pivot. You always got to know where to go too. So for those new builders out there, always have a plan too, plan ahead. Um, One thing I wanted to talk about with you too is the resources, finding resources too as a newer builder, how you did that, because I think a lot of people struggle with where should I get subcontractors? How should I find subcontractors? So how did you do that? And the trial and error of finding subcontractors is,
right, right.
I'm sure, been fun. So talk about that a little bit.
So I'll start with the strategy I used for my first house was I was working at that time at lunchtime, 12 o'clock. I drive around new construction and just get subs. And one interesting thing about that is all the subs know each other, right? So if I
Mhm.
see a framer, I'll get a plumber, a HVAC guy, and I just did that for a couple of new constructions. That's where I was able to get all the sub lists. And over time, I've been able to weed out the good ones and the bad ones.
Mhm.
And one way that I used for that is when they start asking for money even before the job starts.
Yeah,
That's that's usually a telltale sign that this guy is struggling.
yeah,
So
yeah,
one of those things. There's some people who do the job, some subs do the job and send you the bill 15 days later.
yeah.
They're comfortable, they're not hungry. So that's kind of the way I've been able to find myself. But for a new builder coming in, I'll say just drive around new construction, subs are the one doing the work. That's one way to get it. And your local HBCA as well.
Mhm.
I'm a board member at our local HBCA, and we have all the trades. So that's also another way to find quality subs to do the work for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea too. And as far as like with subcontractors, like you said too, ones that are asking for money before the job's even done or
Yeah,
wanting money, it's just you kind of know you figure out who's good, who's not as the process goes on too. But Even when times are crazy, if you're a subcontractor out there and you're want to be a high level sub, be responsive, no matter how crazy times are, because right now, like I said, things have slowed down for a lot of them. So all of a sudden, my email's starting to blow up a little bit with, "Hey, we're looking for work. Can we
Right.
bid your project?"
Same here.
But I remember when I was looking, when
Yeah.
times were busy, nobody was answering. So
Right.
some of them did, and they're partners, they're trade partners with us to this day. But the ones that didn't now are deciding to try and contact me. I'm not ever going to give you a chance because when
Right.
times are stressful and you can't answer my call, and then times slow down, that shows me something as well. So just a little word of advice to you subcontractors out there, especially with big builders. And it doesn't even have to be big builders. It could be any upcoming builder, anybody that has a good reputation. I would try to cling on to them because you're going to be along for the long ride with them if you're a good
Right.
sub. So,
That's true. That's true. That same here, especially my trust company. The same during the boom, man, it was hard to get them, and
yep.
now that the track builders aren't building 300 houses. Hey, Justice, you have anything coming up? I'm like, yeah, I called you like 7 months ago, and you're just not returning my call.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, it's kind of one of those. And also the financial aspect of new builders coming in is it's the entry levels is hard when it comes to building, right? Because you need a lot of capital. I mean, for me, I traded stocks. I had money going in. I used about $300,000 of my money to start my first house. So that's one thing. I can't give advice on how you can get money. I think family and friends, but for me, I was able to start with about $300,000 of my money, buying the land, building the house. Majority of it, I still did get hard money loan, but it was only about 50% of it. But majority of it came from mine. So I'm not sure how a new builder can, get capital because I used mine from the get-go.
So as far as financial resources now that you're doing, are you still using bank money right now, even with interest rates the way they are? Do you recommend that to upcoming builders if they can get a loan or construction loan? Are you still utilizing those loans? Because the loan programs, we had a lot of construction loans with us, even with the higher end homes, because when people were locking them in at 2.9%, 3%, I mean, it was all day. They were like, why not? But now we're really getting nothing. It's cash where we're at, but it's just a huge difference too. So are you still utilizing those loans? Do you recommend it?
So a lot of the houses I'm doing right now are custom and they're
Okay.
CP, right? I'm qualified with Space Coast Credit Union, Shelter Mortgage, about three other banks, and I'm building on owner's lot. So these owners, they already own the lot free and
Yeah.
clear, and they come to me and say, "Hey, Justice, I want you to put your model on my lot." And Space Coast has been very good with financing that because they have no closing costs, and I think the interest rate is right at 5-6%. So it's been working. I think about seven ongoing construction that I have right now is with Space Coast and the CP loans with them. The specs, though, I still do a lot of my specs are like high interest rate. It goes at like 12, 13%
Mm,
interest rate, but they're short term, right? They're not
yeah.
long loans. So typically, I finish my houses in 6 months, if that. So if I do a 13% interest rate on a $300,000 loan, I don't even get to it, and it's interest on draws. So if I take 50, they're not charging me 13% on 300,000. They're charging me 13% on the amount of money I draw from them. So that's how that worked. I recommend it because that's how I've been able to do all my spec homes. That's how I've been able to do everything that I do. But you have to be diligent. You have to be meticulous about the build. You don't take it all the way to the 12 months because it's usually a 12-month loan. make sure you already have your permits before you start the loan process, because permitting sometimes can take
Yeah.
3 4 months. So you don't want to close on a loan without your permits, and now you're wasting 3 4 months just doing soft work or paperwork just to get your permit before you start construction. So one bit of advice is wait until you get your permit before you close on the loan. So in 3 4 5 6 months, the construction is done and you can sell, refinance, or do what you can do to get out of that 13% loan.
On the people as far as employees and everything, do you have any employees working with you yet? Is it still just you operating everything? Do you have any overhead starting, or are you working on that?
So that's my next journey. I have a sales associate that's helping me sit in
Okay.
the to sell. So that's one overhead that I have. I have a rec out right now for a project manager
Okay.
to help with the running around. But right now, still all me.
Yeah,
Every
good for you, man. 35 homes, still all you. Good for you, man. Yeah, the project manager will help with those inspector meetings too, so you can
yes,
focus
yes, right. The
on the
bigger.
design. Yeah, yeah, but good for you. That's awesome. So, um, as far as let's go into kind of growing the business too, your vision of it. What's the next steps of Opus Homes? Where are you going with it as far as your homes? You're also into some commercial start, or you're into some higher residential multifamily stuff right now. So what's the vision going forward with everything?
Well, at some point, I want to do a subdivision, right?
Okay.
And that's where I'm leaning to. So I'm currently looking for big parcels of land where I can subdivide to do a subdivision. That's the next big project that I'm looking at. But in terms of Opus Homes itself, I want to create an environment where the company runs without me. Because right now, without me as the figurehead, everything falls apart, right? I want to be able to create a structure, company policies, employee policies, hire some employees, bookkeeping, accounting, all of those necessary um, employment to get a company to function without me. So that's kind of my next target right now. I call it an autopilot. I want the business to be an autopilot without me driving. Just let it run itself, and gonna try to get that this year. Then the next big project I want to do is a subdivision.
That's awesome, man. It's to get it to autopilot, obviously, as you know too, it's finding the right people,
Right.
and it's building that culture with those people, selling them the vision, the future, everything that is coming, into the future too. That's where we're at now is we're building that team out. We have a really great team, 8 employees now, and it's just all about the future vision. We just got an office in Naples now to start doing some projects up there. Probably hire another superintendent for up there once we do get our first project. So it's always building in this business, man.
Yeah,
Literally, it's just
it
always
is.
building to give you
It
that
is.
freedom. Obviously, you have a lot more overhead. I have a lot of overhead too, but that comes with the quality, that comes with the expectation of how you over deliver to people like you already are too. And like I said, it's a long-term game. The more people you start doing custom stuff for, and even the specs that they're buying from you too, and they know it's an Opus home, and you make it known that it is too. It's not just a quick turnover. There's, you add a little quality to it. You follow up with them. The warranty goes smoothly with it as well. Like, because a lot of these quick track home build type homes, they don't really ever follow up with warranty stuff, and the people are left stranded on their own. Those things are so crucial in the
Right.
development of making a business bigger in the home building world for those of you that are listening. And Justice is doing that.
Yeah, and one of the things that I also try to do as well is while we're building, I allow a lot of selections, and
Hmm.
It just makes them feel like they actually built the house themselves. It's like, okay, you go select your own tile. I
Yeah,
have
that's awesome.
7 options, but if you don't like any of my options, go, select one. I'll give you credit. If it's more than what I would typically pay for, they pay the difference. They select your light fixtures. I have several variety of fixtures they can choose from. But if they want something specific to them, they can go select. So they have a part in the building process. And I think that's what a lot of the clients I've worked for, they appreciate that is, when they walk in, it's like, okay, I actually did this. And I think that's key to getting a lot of clients satisfied with building a home for them.
Yeah, it's huge, man. And then as you grow too, you'll be able to hire, like, we have a selections coordinator and she handles like all those selections because you're going to start getting more custom too.
Right.
So you're going to need somebody to start writing down because 7 selections is going to turn into 5,000 selections.
Right. Wow.
So it's in, but you need that coordinator to keep everything
Build.
coordinated and so on and build partnerships with designers and stuff, man. I'm
Actually,
look I love your journey. I'm looking forward to it, man.
yeah, yeah, that's actually one of my sales pitch to the clients. I'm like, hey, you're talking directly to the builder, so you have that opportunity to do all of these things. The reason why most of the builders aren't flexible because they tell me, oh, why are you able to do this, but the other guys aren't able to. I'm saying you're talking directly to the builder, so I give you all this flexibility. And also because I have 10 houses going on, I'd say I don't have 110,
Yeah.
so if I get big enough, I'm not going to get all this flexibility that I'm offering now at this point. But, so it's a sweet spot for them at this time of my business.
It's smart, man. It's a difference maker with you because
Yeah.
you're not just like all the other guys, like we talked about in the beginning. You're doing that a little bit higher end. You're offering those touches of Opus Homes that these other builders aren't. That's what's going to make you stand out. That's what's going to build the brand. And then you're also giving more options for people so it's not just the same home over and over and over and over because it goes a long way. And like I said, there's builders in my area. They do the same thing. They do the 3 selections. That's all you get. They don't hang lights or fans. The people have to do it after. And they're a less expensive builder. And people have been building spec houses with them just to flip the spec houses because times were crazy. But they were cheap spec houses. And a lot of people that bought those, they come into one of our homes and they're just in awe,
Right.
And but the biggest compliment I've gotten is uh, I've told this story before. I had a guy I sent to this other builder. He's lower end builder, it's more affordable builder and where we build, and I trust him. That's why I send people to him if they don't have the budget for us. And I helped him. I helped him with. I said, look for this, look for that. Gave him pointers. I was like, let me know if you need anything. You got my number. What did I talk about? Long term game, right? So that guy actually, my brother-in-law does pools. He owns a pool company, and he does the guy's pool. And when he met the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I know your brother-in-law, Bill Reiman." And he's like, "Oh really? Okay." And he's like, "Yeah, I met him. Super. It was just a great conversation. He steered me to build this house." And he goes, "But I know in the future when." I'm ready to build a bigger house. He goes, I'm 1,000% going with Bill just
Wow.
because he goes, because I want a Ryman home. And he goes, he didn't have to take the time to help me and guide me to this. But he goes, once I'm in the future, I got more money, I could sell this house. I'm going to build a Ryman home. That's my goal. So playing that long-term game is so important. And a lot of builders don't do that, but I'm
Right.
always doing that. When people call and they can't afford to go with us, I'm still going to talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm not just going to be like, I don't have time for you. That's the difference maker. But those little things that you're doing now are going to be the difference makers in your future too, because that's the way our company was when we first started as well.
Yeah, that's
So,
true. I agree 100%. You're providing value even if you're not getting any kind of value from them in the long term. At the moment, you're providing value for them, and they 100% of the time would appreciate it.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I wanted to touch on with you too, obviously growing the business. just for the audience, some of the strategies that you kind of did to secure your first few projects. What strategies did you use to kind of build that first client base?
So interestingly enough, I've not really done much marketing, if
Okay.
any. And the only marketing strategy that I have is the motorhome. It's the motorhome is seated in a busy street, and a lot of clients come in, and they look at it and get ideas from it. After a while, they say, "Okay, all right, I'm ready to build." I've had people who come in 2022 and I'm just now building for that. So that's one of the only ways I've been able to get client and word of mouth as well. But I haven't done any type of marketing, social media. But I don't think I've gotten any lead from social media. But 100% of what I'm doing right now is coming from the model.
Yeah, the model homes are a huge thing. If people can, if you can start, you can get the money or the financing to do some kind of model home, something special that can showcase what your abilities are. That is huge too. I mean, for people just getting started, that's a huge thing they can do. But for people that can't do a model home too, try and do a spec, try and partner with somebody to
Yeah,
try and get some sort of house up because that spec can act as a short-term model too.
correct,
People are going to
correct.
see it, people are going to look at it. Not everybody's going to buy it, but they're going to say, I don't like the location. All right, let's build one here. Let's find you a
Right,
lot,
right.
you
That's
know?
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it can kind of take you to another place or another opportunity. But if you are going to do that model home too, do what Jay did. Highly, highly recommend because we keep talking about this. Stand out. Don't just do something cheap. Make sure you stand out because it's playing long term in this business. You're not here for the short term. You'll never make money. It's a hard business to make money short term for sure. I mean, you can make
Right.
quick money, but you're probably going to blow through it. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. If it's your passive income, then yeah, maybe. But if it's something that you're gonna go all in, yeah, you definitely
yeah.
want to use strategies to get
Yeah,
more.
for sure, man. It's something I think, and I when I first met you, I knew you were all in on it, and obviously, I mean, here we are 3 years later,
Mhm.
and you're still here, so it shows a lot. Like you heard those stats at the beginning, a lot of people aren't in, all in. They don't have the structure, they don't figure it out, and it just kind of they fade away too. And I see that a lot in my area too, especially with the builders that kind of give things away. I have it happening now. They're late to the game. I got a lot of new builders all of a sudden popping up in my area, and the frenzy's over. But now they're popping up and they're trying to give things away.
Yeah.
I had a builder I'm bidding against. I heard this through the grapevine from another builder who's pretty competitive with me. He said, he goes, we're all bidding this job, and he goes, I talked to the builder, this other builder, and he said he's willing to build a doghouse at this point because he has no work. So I
Mhm.
was like, we ain't gonna win that bid. So,
All right.
because they're gonna low end it.
Yeah.
And these people are looking at price more than anything. But it's just you stand out in a lot of ways. A lot of people build with us because they know the reputation, they know the quality of the project, our product, they know what we offer as a company, so they're willing to pay for it. There's a lot of people out there that aren't just going to look for the number. They're looking for a longer lasting home because they've been burnt before. And that's a
Right.
huge thing in the construction industry, how many people get burnt. So
Yeah.
that's why you're a difference maker too.
Yeah. And there's a lot of horror stories as well. So if you're hearing, like for some reason, builders don't have the best reputation.
No.
Um, so it's hard for them to trust you without a word of affirmation from a third party or somebody else that you don't work for. I mean, even in my area, there's been few builders that just take deposits and don't do anything for 7, 8, 9 months. They've not even pulled permits, and I'm telling them I can build the house in 6 months. And so some of those things that it's hard for clients or for people to trust builders, and you have to give them a reason to trust you. And some of those things are the work you've done before, maybe word of mouth from people you've built for, and some of the other online um, presence as well to help a little bit.
Hmm.
But yeah, just building that trust is also a big key in getting clients to sign with you.
Talk about obviously you being kind of a one man show, being newer too. Talk about how you're managing, your timelines and you're making sure the projects are completed on schedule and so on too, because I think a lot of people struggle with that as well. I mean, you're knocking out homes at 6 months where it probably takes other people 8 months. It's just it's how are you managing it? How have you become an expert at that to ensure that the subs are getting there on time, the schedule, everything is perfect too.
So this is where my software engineering skills came into play. I wrote a software to help me manage the process.
Oh wow, good for you.
An in-house software that I'm using to help me with scheduling, timing. And another advantage that I have is I built the same house. A lot of what I'm doing is the exact same house, right? The model. So people come in, they see the model. They make maybe a few changes here and there, move this wall there, and nothing structural. And that's been very helpful in the process as well. Maybe two or three houses that was true custom because they brought me their plan and they want me to build it. And I kind of use the same process, but the software that I built is helping me with scheduling and things like that to keep things on track.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I should have known you being an engineer that would be the case right there too, because engineers are pretty tight knot niche on the scheduling everything too, and that's a gift for sure. But even writing your own software too, we use a software, it helps us tremendously too as far as schedule and everything. It kind of shows, it allows us to show the clients where we're at, which could be a blessing and a curse, but but it also it kind of sets the expectation so they know what's going on. They can keep track of things. We take pictures of job sites each and every week too. But it's construction. It's never going to be perfect. You're never,
Mm,
there's
right,
subcontractors are infamous for saying they're going to be there one day and then they can't because they're on another builder's job because they work for other builders and they're
right.
stuck on that job and they got to show up the next day. So that delays you a day, or I've been delayed a week at a time because of certain things that have happened with concrete
But
companies.
yeah, weather is also a factor as well that could
Yeah,
delay.
especially in Florida, especially
Yeah,
in Florida. So I mean, we deal with the rain all the time during the summers and all that fun stuff too, and you just never know. But as a new builder going into it, it's like Justice said, you got to have some kind of scheduling platform or software. There's a lot of them out there. He built his own just to maintain and keep track of things. And then also got to be firm with your subs too. I mean, you
yeah,
have to, you, I always say, and I tell my guys this too, they're not your friends. I mean, we're not there to be buddy buddies with them. Yeah, we're supposed to be nice, and yeah, we're not, gonna boss them around and stuff like that. We're supposed to have relationships with them, but you can't act like they're your friends where they can tell you when they're gonna come, when they're gonna do things. And no, it doesn't work that way. You call them until they show up, plain and
right.
simple.
Right. Yeah, I've had situations with subcontractors where I was using a guy when I was doing one, two houses. He built. He's a drywall. He does drywall for me. Hang the drywall and finishing usually taking 3, 4 weeks. And this is a 2,600 square foot. But come to find out, he's doing a lot of it himself. And when I started doing 5, 6 houses at the same time, he's expecting to get all of the houses and say, hey, you're taking 3 weeks to finish one house and have 5 houses at the same time. How do you expect to do all of them? So you want the other house to just sit and wait until you finish this and then you go to the next one and I got a different crew that would hang in one day and finish the house in 3 days. So I went from 3, 4 weeks in finishing, hanging and drywalling, hanging and finishing in 3 weeks to doing it in one week.
Hmm.
And that just, cut the time off. That's why my time's a little faster. So now I'm using this new crew, and the other guy's calling me, hey, let me get some jobs. I'm like, I'm sorry, man. The
You're too
timeline is not
slow.
working. It's too slow. It's nothing against you. He
It's
does,
not it's not you, it's me.
yeah,
You had to break up with him, right?
yeah, he does great work. His work is finishing it great, but I'm sorry, I can't wait 3, 4 weeks for you to finish one work. I just had to go somewhere else.
Yeah. See, and that's smart on your part, man. It is because a lot of builders build relationships with subs. They keep them around for a while just because they have that relationship, and it's not about the time. It's not about I mean, quality with every builder either. It's just they have a relationship, or they go with the cheapest sub too. That's another
Yeah,
problem in the industry. They find the cheapest number. They don't even look into the sub. They don't even know. And there's a lot of that around me. I'm sure around you too. But that's where you set yourself apart. Is you don't always go with the cheaper subs. I mean,
right.
I get clients all the time. They're like, "Oh, I'm hoping you'll get like 3 or 4 bids." It's like, I mean, I have my relationships with these, and I tell them, and they listen, and they finally agree. Once I explain it, I say, we have relationships with our subcontractors, not because they're cutting us deals behind on the back end or anything like that. It's because they do good quality work. They show up if there's a problem and fix it right away. If you're in the house and they did something wrong, they don't complain. They fix it and they don't charge for it either. If it's something that shouldn't, they always take care of us. That's the way because we have that relationship with them. That's why we use who we use too. And they do a good job and they do it in a timely manner, like you talked about. So that's huge right there, what you were saying.
Mm. Yeah, 100%.
What are you talking about challenges too? I wanted to kind of go into that too. I mean, obviously with construction, just to kind of before we wrap this up, there's always challenges. There's always something happening. Um, what are some of the challenges you faced these last few years, and how have you had to address them?
Initially it was permitting.
Okay.
I might sound a little bit arrogant. I've not really had much challenges that I couldn't handle or that was stressful to me. The one I'm going through right now is just working with doing custom homes and clients calling you for every small thing that it's
Welcome to my world, man.
and it's so small and so minute that I'm like, hey, this doesn't make any difference in anything. It's just a speckle. It's nothing,
Yeah.
and it's a raw stage, right? So having to get those calls from like three different people asking different things, and that's also a factor of me handling everything myself. But that's, I would say one, I wouldn't say it's a struggle. It's just something that I have to deal with that's becoming a little too much because, at some point I'll get 4 or 5 of my clients calling me. And when I do answer the call or when I call them back, it's something very, very, very simple or something that's not a problem that they think is a problem. So I have to go over there and explain to them and say, hey, this is this, that. It's not a problem. Just fix it. Just one of those things. I think that's a struggle for me right now, just having to deal with all that. Um, what would I say? Necessary calls and with so but it's one of those things you sign up for when you're doing custom work. It's because I mean the money's there, so it's you want to be able to make them aware because in their defense they that is, but if it's a lot of it, small things here and there, it becomes much, so that's one of the struggles I'm facing right now. But there's no way to undo it. You just have to let the customer know that hey, this is not an issue, this is not a problem, and that's just something you have to do.
Yeah, it goes in. I mean, we deal with it a lot, man, and it's nothing against the client. I mean, they don't really know what's going on.
Right.
They see something and they panic. They think it's not right. It shouldn't be, and it's like, relax.
Yeah.
We're building the house. We can fix it, you know. And for you clients out there that are listening, everything you see, yes, it's okay that you see it. But we're more than likely already going to planning on taking care of it because in the framing stages and the concrete, there's it's not always something, but there's going to be something, you know, maybe something was missed in framing or off a little bit or whatever. We fix it. It goes back to basically setting the expectation with the client. And that's what I try and do too, as far as that as much as possible, because they're always asking questions. We try and do even invite them to the job sites. I mean, if they're in town, because a lot of the people we build for, 90% of them are from here. And when they do come in town, we try and plan at least a meetup on site so they can see reality. You can answer any questions too. And that helps. That'll help you a lot just doing those walkthroughs. You don't have to do a ton of them, you know, and don't make it expect that every time, every week they want to walk through because you know they're not going to see enough changes, but um you know, even if it was once every couple of months or something, just to see progress goes a long way with that
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, that's the difference between what a lot of clients I'm building for. I think one or two are from out of town. A lot of them live in the same area, so they tend to drive there every day. I have one that drive there like 3, 4 times a day because his office is 5 minutes away, and that's the same, so it's kind of one of those. But I do the same thing that you do before we break ground. I give them expectations. I explain to them, say, this is construction, it's going to be rough. Obviously, if you have any concerns, let me know. But there will be some things that don't look right. I give them that invitation to, call and ask if they have any discrepancies or if they have anything they don't understand. But sometimes some of them take it a little too far, but but it's the world, man. It's just it's new to them, it's expensive, it's a lot. So I try to I have the personality to handle it. So I just try to be understanding and talk to them to, educate them more on what's going on.
That's where you're going to stand out as a builder too. Like you just said, you have the personality to handle it because not a lot of builders do. They don't want to even deal with it either. They just complain about it. They kind of ignore the people too, because you're always going to get all different types of customer personalities. You're going to get
Yes.
ones that need their hands held. You're going to be ones that no construction. You're going to get ones that overly know construction and think they know more than you.
Yeah.
And then they want to tell you how to build the house that you've built,
Yes.
100 times.
Hmm.
But it's all different personalities, and that's what we deal with in the custom world. A lot of people just spec build because they don't want to deal with that. They'd rather just build houses and do their own thing and not have to deal with customers. But when you get into the custom building world, it gets hard at sometimes, but there is a lot of great things that come out of it. We've made a lot of great friends in that world as well. And it's we've gotten a lot of value from people, referrals from people as well. I mean, I go to dinner with clients now. I do a lot of home watch. I started a home watch business where I check their houses once a week, more
Okay.
estate management type deal.
Yeah.
So that was created out of that. Real estate is created out of that as well. I do a lot of real estate deals with past clients as well, as far as buying, selling property. And it
You're a
just
realtor, right?
What's that?
You're a realtor, correct?
Yeah, yeah. So I got my broker's license and we have Reiman properties. I haven't established the company. That's a future goal for me too, as having salespeople underneath me through that organization. But right now I'm with the top luxury brand in this area too to kind of help promote our brand as well because they're a big company. And get to know a lot of the agents through that as well. But it's all these things tie together, man. It's all, when you get into this industry too, and you can find these different avenues too, and maybe even start a handyman service or maybe even start, a renovation side of things. We've never done the renovation side. We've just kind of stuck to our guns, which
Right.
I think's done well for us, just sticking to the new construction, because that's kind of branded us as a high end. new construction builder, but we've been approached many times. It could be hurting us too. We've been approached many times for remodel opportunities, but maybe in the future that'll be a branch too. It's just the sky's the limit, man. And I see
Right.
that with you too. That's why I wanted to have you on again a few years later and just check in, because I'm watching your story on Instagram and how you're doing things, and it's awesome, brother. So I
Thank
was
you, man.
pumped to have you on today.
Yeah, no, it's good. Yeah, I was excited to come back on because yeah, I got a lot of feedbacks from actually a lot of people learned from the first
Hmm.
interview we did, the podcast. A lot of people, a couple of people DM, oh, I didn't know you were an engineer. I just thought you were a builder. And, so a lot of people had, because if some people just followed you on Instagram because you're posting houses and they have interest in building houses.
Yeah.
And so me telling my story gives them a little bit more, I guess, encouragement, into that being able to go into construction. So that was really good. So appreciate you for having me back, and yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and it's like you just said too, people want to see the journey, but they want to hear how it's done too. And like I said, there's no magic to it. I mean, it's just putting your head down and putting in the work, man. And that's what you've been doing. You can tell by your Instagram. You didn't just think it was all going to come to you. You
Yeah,
literally took huge risks, 9 spec homes at a time. That's a huge risk that you put out there, but you had a good sense of the market too. Not a lot of people
right. Yeah,
did, and you've talked about that today too, which will help people. It's all about timing. It's not luck, it's timing. It's just knowing when to leverage things and not. And things are a little bit shakier right now, so you're probably not leveraging nine houses
yeah,
out
that's
right
true.
now,
Yeah,
but and things are a little bit slower to sell, but it like next year could be different. It could be a worse economy, or it could be a good economy. We don't know. And I mean, the guys on YouTube that are telling you all the other crap
yeah,
don't know either. Nobody knows. So, but you're doing things the right way, man. And I'm excited to follow the story, excited to keep in touch. And like I said, I'm here to help you,
thank you.
whatever you need, and it's vice versa. I know for sure, man. So appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. This is good. Yeah.
Awesome, brother. So for all you guys that are listening, thank you all so much for listening. Take the time to like, share, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family. Goes a long way. 5-star reviews only, because that's what this show deserves. And we
Sure.
and we will see you guys on the next episode.